Chapter 1 $1.87 $1.87. That was all, and 60 cents of it was in pennies. Pennies saved 1 and 2 at a time by bulldozing the grocer and the vegetable man until her cheek burned. 3 times Della counted it. $1.87, and the next day would be Christmas. There was nothing left to do but flop down on the shabby little couch and howl, so Della did it. Which instigates the moral reflection that life is made up of sobs, sniffles, and smiles, and with much more sniffles. A furnished little flat at $8 per week. It did not exactly beg our description, but it certainly had that word on the lookout for homeless shelter. In the main gate below was a letterbox into which no letter would go, and an electric button which does not work anymore. Also appearing a card bearing the name Mr. James Dillingham Young. But whenever Mr. James Dillingham Young came home, he was called Jim, and greatly hugged Mrs. James Dillingham Young, already introduced to you as Della. She stood by the window and looked out drearily at a gray cat walking a gray fence in a gray backyard. Tomorrow would be Christmas Day, and she had only $1.87 with which to buy Jim a present. She had been saving every penny she could for months, with this result. $20 a week doesn't go far. Expenses had been greater than she had calculated. Only $1.87 to buy a present for him, for Jim. Suddenly, she whirled from the window and stood before the glass. Her eyes were shining brilliantly, but her face had lost its color within 20 seconds. Rapidly, she pulled down her hair and let it fall to its full length. Now, there were 2 possessions of the James Dillingham Youngs in which they both took a mighty pride. One was Jim's gold watch that had been his father's and his grandfather's. The other was Della's hair. Had the Queen of Sheba lived in the flat across the air shaft, Della would have let her hair hang out the window to dry, just to depreciate her Majesty's jewels and gifts. Had the King Solomon been the janitor, with all his treasures piled up in the basement, Jim would have pulled out his watch every time he passed, just to see him pluck at his beard from envy. Now Della's beautiful hair fell about her, rippling and shining like a cascade of brown waters. It reached below her knee and made itself almost a garment for her, and then she did it up again nervously and quickly. Once she fluttered for a minute and stood still while a tear or 2 splashed on the worn red carpet. But all of a sudden, on went her old brown jacket, on went her old brown hat, with a whirl of skirts and with a brilliant sparkle still in her eyes. She ran out of the door and down the stairs to the street. Where she stopped, the sign read, Madame Sofroni, her hair goose, of all kinds. One flight up Della ran and collected herself, panting. Madame, large, too white, chilly, hardly looked Sophrony. "Will you buy my hair?" asked Della. "I buy hair," said Madame. "Take your hat off and let's have a sight at the looks of it." Down rippled the brown cascade. $20, said Madame, lifting the mass with a practiced hand. "Give it to me quick," said Della. Oh, and the next 2 hours tripped by on rosy wings. She was ransacking the stores for Jim's present. She found it at last. It surely had been made for Jim and no one else. There was no other like it in any of the stores, and she had turned all of them inside out. It was a platinum fob chain, simple in design. It was even worthy of the watch. As soon as she saw it, she knew that it must be Jim's. It was like Jim. Quietness and value. The description applied to both. $21 they took from her for it, and she hurried home with 87 cents. With the chain of his watch, Jim might be properly anxious about the time in any company. Grand as the watch was, he sometimes looked at it on the sly, on account of the old leather strap that he used in place of a chain. When Della reached home, her intoxication gave way little to prudence and reason. Her head was covered with tiny, close-lying curls that made her look wonderfully like a truant schoolboy.